Hey, it's Bob, and I'm really excited today to sort of change things up in this episode of Real Retail TV. This episode's a little longer, but with a lot of really great content for you. It's a different format. I am going to interview someone, but I absolutely guarantee that if you watch this interview, you will walk away with ideas that you can use in your business. In this episode of Real Retail TV, you're going to see an interview that I did with Maureen Doron. Maureen owns Skirt, two high-end women's clothing stores in the Philadelphia area. And Maureen's been a member of the Platinum Mastermind group for many years. And in this interview, we're going to talk about the things she's learned, the changes she's made in her business, and you're going to see some really cool examples of an aha she had while she was sitting in the room at a Platinum Mastermind group meeting, and how those aha moments turned into strategies and tactics that you can use in your business. It's really action-packed. It's filled with great content for you. So right now we are opening up registration for both the Business Breakthrough Accelerator and the Platinum Mastermind group. These are our highest level, most impactful programs. Both of these are in person, live, with both me and Susan there to help you with your business. The Business Breakthrough Accelerator program happens once a year. It's happening here in our office this year in June. And in a BBA meeting, you will create an action plan for a 90-day sprint. This 90-day sprint will either help you overcome your biggest bottleneck, or it will help you take advantage of your biggest opportunity. No matter what, it will help you create a business breakthrough. Now, that's the BBA. The Platinum Mastermind group is our highest level, most impactful group. This is a group that is application and invitation only. Meaning if you want to get in, you have to apply. And not everybody who applies is accepted. This is a group of already successful, really smart retailers. So imagine being in the room with over 20 smart retailers 3 times a year, with me and Susan sort of leading the charge and keeping the conversation meaningful. That's what the Platinum Mastermind group is all about. Right now, we're opening applications for both of these groups. So if you're interested in taking your business to another level, click down below, see what group is right for you, and apply today. But for right now, here's me and Maureen helping you be a smarter retailer. We have Maureen Doron from Skirt with us here. And Maureen, welcome. I'm so honored and happy that you're here to talk to me today.
Yes.
So,
happy.
Good. So first, tell us a little bit about Skirt. Tell us, how many stores you have, what you do. Give us a little background if you don't mind.
I opened my store in 2001, so it's just about 22 years, a little over. And I currently have 2 locations. I did have a third, which Bob and Susan and the Whiz Bang team helped coach me through the difficult decision to close it during COVID. So I'm really happy. That was great. That was one of these moments that the Mastermind changed my life.
Yeah.
That helped.
Yeah, it was a hard decision that you just needed some help making. Yes.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it for 22 years. You have 2 very successful stores. And to anybody who's watching this, I want to say that Maureen does more dollars per square foot than anybody I know. So I just love how you just maximize every square inch. But let's go back, and if you wouldn't share some insights that maybe you gained about your business, maybe it's a philosophy or a strategy
Mm-hmm.
or a tactic or just a moment that went, oh, this makes sense. And then you took it and ran with it and good things happened because of it.
Okay, well, I'd say that I can never remember the amount of years, Bob. You'll have to fact check me on this. I think it's 7 years. I had a brief pause somewhere in the middle there, but about 7 or 8 years ago when I joined, the first order of business was like the low hanging fruit. I was closed on Sundays. I had a 7-day return policy. All those very industry standard things that go against the whiz bang philosophy. But it took a minute for me to decide, like, okay, I've got to be open to thinking, even though this is the way I've been doing it for 10 years, maybe there is a better way. And as soon as I opened myself up to that and didn't get defensive, the business changed. So easy was the, change, opening an extra day. And
you get an extra 52 days a year out of that.
that, all those things. So instantly from the first meeting, it felt great because I saw those instant changes. The bigger, more long-term changes came slowly and over the course of lots of years. But it does come back to being part of the mastermind makes me challenge what I have decided is my belief about a policy or a way to run my company or a way to hire. When I'm able to sit there surrounded by all of these smart people who I trust their opinions so much, it makes me stop and think, wait, maybe there is a different way. Maybe there is a better way to do this.
So you got that dopamine hit from seeing an increase in sales and seeing it. You got that dopamine hit from boom, 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 boom. Yeah. But then these long-term sort of structural mindset pieces came more slowly because they're subtle. It's wisdom.
Right.
You don't just get wisdom. Would you agree with that?
I would, but they come almost every meeting. I get one moment like that I bring home and really makes real change and impact in my business. Sometimes they're personal, sometimes they're personnel.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're just generating sales and income.
Right.
But every single meeting I leave with a shift.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I'll share with everybody who's watching this, one of the things I love about having Maureen, one of the many things I love about having Maureen in the mastermind is when Maureen has those moments, you could see it's like her whole face lights up. It's like, aha! I mean, it truly is an aha moment. So let's go, and if you wouldn't mind, I'll refer you back to a couple of
my
moments.
Highlight reel of my favorite changes.
Okay, so
the first is the return policy. I had a 7-day return policy, maybe 14 days, like if I was feeling generous that year. And I believed that was how you had to do it. I sell expensive clothes. Returns are not a small number. Like if someone does return, it's for several $100s. Policy, and this is the way it had to be. And I'm not a department store. I can't have the same policy. All of those things were deeply ingrained beliefs of mine. And they were challenged at a meeting. And I was like, okay, I got to try this. But what I did was I'm like, all right, I have the personality that I'm going to go big or go home. So, what actually happened was I go home, I tell the team, we're changing our return policy. We're going to make our new return policy. We have no return policy. If you don't like it, you bring it back in and we do what it takes to make you happy. They were like appalled. But I was like,
so
okay,
you had your beliefs changed, and then now you got to go home and change the beliefs of your team, right?
Yes. They caught up quicker than I did because it benefits them to have, it's easier for them. But what we did was we took our return policy off our receipts and we had this policy, but we weren't really talking about it because we were kind of afraid of people like taking us up on it. So that goes on for a quarter, and I have my next meeting and we're talking about it again. And I'm like, what am I doing? If I'm going to do this, I should be shouting it from the rooftops that we have the best return policy of any store in our city. So I was like, how do I do that? And what came about was a long-standing promotion that we have now. It's called the Wardrobe Rewind. And I said, I announced, this is our new return policy. But for this week, we're going to take it a step further. We don't care if you bought this from us 5 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. We don't care if the tags are on, if it's been worn. If you don't look at it every day in your closet and love it, this week, bring it back in. And we will give you a store credit. The fine print, which people don't even care about or hear because they're so gobsmacked by me saying that, is we give it to you on a store credit. It's bundled in numbers. So like $50 for tops, $100 for dresses, et cetera, et cetera. And we also have learned over the years that we time it. So the week that we offer this is a week right before we're about to break sale. And
so just for everybody who's not in fashion, no, that's okay. Just so for everybody who's not in fashion, break sale is when you start a semi-annual clearance sale, right? When you're getting rid of a season's worth of clothing. Because, a lot of industries don't break sales. So good. Right. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify.
Every season, our goods are only good for about 90 days. And then they're stale. They're brown bananas that you can't sell anymore. So we run on a cadence where we're looking at our stock, our 90-day stock, and knowing we have to move. Once it hits, 75, 80 days, we got to move it out. So we do time it so that, and one of the other things Bob taught me was like, when you do a big promotion like this and you're saying, I'm going to give you guys $100 gift card. It's really, I know my average sale. I know what my stylists are capable of. So really, in my mind, it's about a 10 to 15% coupon.
Right.
Is really what I'm giving them in the end. So it sounds scary that you're handing out, but that's really what's happening. But the perceived value from the customer, the emotional bank account the deposit we're making in their emotional bank account, to borrow your phrase, Bob, is so huge. They can't believe that they can pick something out of their closet and come in and be welcomed, happily bring it back in and return it. And of course, we partnered with a local charity that collects clothes for women who are trying to re-enter the workforce or who are in, shelters and things like that. So it's a win-win. We get the charity partnership. We get this huge deposit in our customers' emotional bank account. And we get to remind everyone every year that we really do have in our city. The effect is we get less returns now than we did before this return policy.
Isn't that interesting? So to speculate, why does having a more generous return policy lead to less returns?
I think it's because when they know they only have 7 days or 14 days to return it, they haven't like officially emotionally owned it yet. They're like, they'll have like 7. All right, I'm going to think about this. It's like, it might be in their closet, but it's not, they won't put it on a hanger yet. Or it might be, and because they feel that pressure that they only have this small window of time to make a final decision. And these are expensive purchases that they're making for me.
Yeah.
But once they know that the pressure's off and they can have it sit there for a month, 2 months, 3 months, people are respectful of it. No one is like, they know within reason. Now, look, I have the exception to the rule are the people that come in with something a year or 2 years old, and we happily return that too. But that is the exception, not the rule. Once they know that they can don't have that pressure to decide, once it's been hanging in their closet for a month or in a bag in their car for a month, it's theirs.
It's theirs. Yeah. So, and I find that's just so interesting, and to so many people, it's counterintuitive. I think that, and reflect on this for me, I think that when we start our businesses, we're trying to protect everything in the beginning. We're trying to protect our margins. If the money comes into our till, it becomes our money, and we become very clingy. But you can't sell through a closed fist. And so it's so counterintuitive, yet so powerful to shift that belief. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this about the mastermind and beliefs. So, so you just indicated one pretty fundamental, no, not pretty, incredibly fundamental shift or change in a belief. What other beliefs have has the mastermind, has your experience, has sitting in that room for all these years sort of led to?
Well, my current favorite is probably the most.
And by the way, I love this current favorite for all of you
Yes.
watching.
It happened a little over a year ago, and it came out of a meeting where I was listening to how difficult it is to find employees and find good employees and get them to stay. And it's like everyone's talking about this constantly, especially post COVID. And I was pretty protected from this. I always had pretty good, great retention and all that until COVID hit. So I'm now kind of understanding what my peers are talking about in this group. And I'm like thinking about this and I'm like, this is not, I gotta crack this nut. Like there is something, there are great people out there. I have a great place to work. Like, what is the problem here? And I had always had the belief that the way to get my business to succeed was to hire great employees, to pay them really well, and then hang on to them for dear life for like 20 years. And if somebody left after 2 or 3 years, I was like devastated. Like,
You
what
took
did
it
I do wrong?
personally. Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like, I valued my employees who'd been there and their tenure above all else. And while that is still a wonderful thing, this light bulb went off in me that like maybe it's okay if people come and go. Maybe what I'm really afraid of is when they go, it's a lot of work to train them and to get them. But if I could really get my training in order, if I could really make that process documented and seamless, and that would really help. So that was like kind of my first light bulb. I'm thinking about like, I have to put effort into this, like, getting
Because
them trained.
when you were holding on to people and when they understood how important longevity and tenure was to you, they, in essence, had a ticket to hold you hostage, right?
Oh, and
They
and many
knew
have.
that you wouldn't. And,
Yep.
and, and that's, and when somebody's holding you hostage, that's a pretty toxic thing to have in your culture.
And like, I have a sales driven business for sure. And we rely, I mean, I work on this, but definitely the salespeople are like the top, like they are, they're revered in my company because they're
Right.
out there and our sale, we're talking about sales all the time. It's a sales driven culture. I work to make sure it's a wonderful culture too, but I'm not going to deny that it's a sales driven culture. And I thought that the only people who could really sell, who could really achieve those big numbers were people who'd been with me for a long time. And then I thought, like, well, what if that's not true? And I
Challenging a
had,
belief. What if
yeah.
that's not true? I love that. Go ahead.
And one of the other people in the mastermind, Misha, had talked about how she was working with local high schools for their graduates and getting them into like a training program and really trying to work together with the local schools
Yeah,
to.
she was creating an intern program with her local high school. Yeah.
And I was like, so some small light bulb went off. And that was when you definitely saw my face go like, and I was like, I'll tell you guys, I got to work this out in my head longer. Like, I'll tell you guys in a little bit. So what came from that was that I knew from interviewing that younger people were not very interested in coming to work and be a salesperson. We call them stylists at Skirt. They wanted to be the buyer. They wanted to be the social media manager. They wanted to be the marketing events planner. Those were the sexy jobs. And I had tons of applicants for them and zero applicants for salespeople. So I would hire salespeople that I kind of knew in my gut weren't great, but I was desperate and they would fail. And this would reinforce the belief that like good salespeople have to be there for 10 years.
Right.
So then I decided like, okay, I think what would work is like, I scratch my back you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. What if I offered some of these people who are lined up to be my buyer a program where I also started to learn that young people really want to see clearly what their next step is going to be, what their next title is going to be, what their next promotion is going to be, their salary bumps. And in small businesses like ours, like we don't always have that. It's kind of like, it's just a little more, it's just a little looser than that. And I
Right.
was tried to like force that, but it wasn't, nothing was coming naturally. So the idea is born that I'm going to go to these people who are interviewing as the buyer and say, you want to be the buyer? Here's the deal. You work on the sales floor with me 4 days a week. I'm going to teach you about our customer, our brands, what our customers like and don't like. And you are going to sell 4 days a week. And 1 day a week, you're going to work side by side with me and my buyer. And we're going to give you real stuff to do. Not like if you went to work for a big, for Macy's and were a buyer, you'd be getting coffee. Here, that 1 day that you spent with us,
You're going to be buying stuff.
You're going to be buying. You're going to come to New York and go to buying trips with me. And then it's a 3-year program, and each year they get an extra day in their concentration, whether it's marketing, social media, buying. We also have like an entrepreneurship program. So like, yes, every girl that comes to me wants to open her own boutique someday. You want to do that? Great. I'm going to teach you how to do it if you give me 3 years. And in those 3 years, you work on my sales floor too. I ended up hiring 3 people our first year of it. They were by far of a different caliber of people who had even gotten to come in and interview with me. I'd gone to the college campus recruiting shows and had the table, everything. Like this was another level of applicants. It's been a year since all 3 of them started. I went in hiring 3 thinking, okay, maybe 1 will stick. And that's okay.
Right.
Maybe 1 will stay 1 year. And my idea was not, I want these people to stay forever. My idea going into it was like, we're just going to do this. And they're just going to keep funneling in and funneling out. And if they're a great fit, they'll stay.
But I'll get 4 days a week out of them.
Exactly. What happened, which is still okay. This program would still be a success if that happened. So far, what's happened is I got 3. They've all stayed a year. They all are the best salespeople. They are selling neck and neck with 20-year tenured salespeople. And they're excited about it because they still get their cup filled up that 1 day a week. They get to say to their friends and their parents, I work in marketing, or I work as a buyer.
Or I'm in this program, right? I'm in this career development program.
Which I get. Like I
get.
Retail is does not get the respect it deserves. When your friend says she got a job at an office and she has this, and she's posting pictures on Instagram of her cute desk accessories, and you're like working in a store every day, it's hard. So I try to respect that and put myself in their shoes and try to give them, I think that's okay to have a little bit of an ego about your job and what you want. Anyway, it's been a great success. We're gonna keep hiring more. We're gonna hire a 4th, hopefully in May when the new graduates start interviewing, and it has brought so much life and energy to the store. 3 brand new, young, smart, ambitious people mixed in with the people who've been there 15 years has been the best thing that's ever happened to us. They're happy. It's like, I'm so happy about it. I could burst.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like a sports team. The best teams have that nice blend of, young, enthusiastic talent and the veterans who are kind of showing them the ropes and all of those things. And so, going back, so one of the things I remember you saying is that you thought you had sort of capped out your sales, and that, that was another belief that, we're sort of where we are. And then you did a major you closed the store for 6 weeks and did a remodel. But what you're finding was that belief wasn't quite true also. You're seeing.
Yeah. Out of the same space, we're doing, well, even since, speaking of egos, I was hesitant. I didn't want to close that 3rd location because my ego was going to get a blow. And I remember calls with you, Bob, where you talked some sense into me and made me see things from a totally different perspective and encouraged me to, let that store go and put my energy onto my, main store. And now that we've done that, what are we, 3 years post COVID?
Yeah.
Not quite. I have one less store and almost double the company sales.
Yeah.
Just shy of
wow.
So
and it was
the
and it
store-
was a prestigious location too.
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
So
Yeah, we were in the nicest neighborhood in Philadelphia. So
yeah.
it definitely was an ego blow to let it go, because I liked. I mean, if I'm being honest, I liked saying I had 3 stores, not 2. I liked saying I had a store in this illustrious neighborhood in the city, and that's another idea that got turned on my head, because I realized, like, what like, that is so silly, and I'm here to make as much money as I can with as little stress in my life as possible. I love creating jobs for people. I've been able, through closing a location, I created more jobs because
you were able to focus on what you do best. So
Yes.
There's another member in the group, Kim, who and she has 2 stores. And what she shared with me, she said, Bob, if I would have, she said, if I would have joined the Mastermind before I signed a lease on the second store, I would have waited to open the second store, because now I'm starting to see what is there. So, Maureen, what would you say to someone who is already successful, right? They have a successful business. You have to be successful to be accepted into the Platinum Mastermind group. But, there's always, it is not inexpensive, and there's a commitment of time, and there's money involved with travel. So we meet 3 times a year, you travel and do all those things. And so it's not for everyone, but for some people like you who had a really big upside, and you're open to new ideas. What would you say to someone who might be interested in joining the Platinum Mastermind group but says, it's really a bit too much, too expensive. I think I can spend my money better elsewhere?
Mm-hmm. I used to think of it when it came time to renew and write the check and remake the decision, because I do think about it every year. It is a decision I make for myself every year, that this is a luxury, this is a gift I'm giving to myself, and I want to do this. But now I think about it differently. It's not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is for me, it's the only way as an entrepreneur I can force myself to take time, refocus, work on my business, not in my business, and be held accountable by people that I love and respect and who are kind, but they still hold you accountable. And when you're the boss, there's no one holding you accountable. So these things, I think, are necessities of my business now. And I couldn't grow. I couldn't grow the business without this.
And you have the kind of business. So, the investment is $1,500 a month or $15,000 if you buy it for the year, plus the travel. But you have the kind of business where $15,000, one idea, pays for itself. One great idea pays for itself multiples of time. Just your wardrobe rewind. I'll just share something that I loved from one of our meetings for everybody who's watching this. So Maureen was sitting, and you were sitting next to Hope Bursch, and it was the beginning of the first day. And you looked at me and you said, Bob, every time when I come to a meeting, I think I'm too busy. I don't have time. I have shit to do, all these things. And so I always think about not coming. Until I get on the plane, I think about not coming. Mm-hmm. But then when I come into the room and I sit down at the beginning of the first day, I realize this is exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
And that was a moment that, it made me very, very happy. So let's sort of expand on that real quickly, and then we'll wrap this up. So yes, there's a financial return. And of course, we're all business people. If we're investing money and time in something, there needs to be a financial return. But I also know that, you were a self-professed hot mess when
Yes.
you joined the Platinum Mastermind group. And there's been a number of things that have happened to your mindset and the way that you think and the way that you work that have
Hmm.
kind of, well, before we started recording, you said that things are under control. So
I
tell us a
do. I
little more
feel,
about that
which
if
is
you
a
don't mind.
rare thing for an entrepreneur to say. I think that it changed. What it gives me changes each year or every few years. In the beginning, I was a lot of what I learned from talking to and being challenged by the members of the group was a lot of my anxiety and my stress and my inefficiency in how I worked, how I spent my time working was like my fear of confrontation, fear of having tough, honest conversations with the people who worked for me. I wasn't good at it. I didn't like it, and I would just ignore it. And I'm the one who suffered, not the employees, not even the business. I would put that. I'd make sure it didn't affect the business. It affected me. It affected my life, my time with my family, and my not just my time with my family, but the mood I was in when I was with my family. So one of the first things I had to force myself to get better at, and it wasn't just like I still am that person. I still don't like those things, but I've learned how to make them work for me and what tools and processes and procedures to put into places so they're much easier for me. That changed my life, my stress level, my mood, being able to feel like I could have these conversations and I could do these hard things was majorly life changing for me. It helped me get the right people hired and get the right people fired, and was such a release and a gift for me that I think like the big celebration of it was I went from being a being so overworked and stressed and working so not smart, hard but not smart, when I finally felt like, okay, I can do this. I announced at one of the meetings, I'm going to Italy for a month. I'm leaving for an entire month into a different time zone. I'm taking my family with me, and I've done some form of that trip every summer since that year
Yeah.
where I was able to kind of shift that.
Well, and so reflect on this because, I mean, you know entrepreneurs, you know retailers, you have other people in your industry, friends in the industry. I mean, I see it happen all the time where, as an entrepreneur myself, I was a retailer for 19 years, so I know that drill. But we're so achievement driven. We're so beat last month. We're so beat this thing. We're always we're always looking towards an unrealistic ideal that we're not enjoying what we're doing at the time, and we're not doing the work that we're supposed to do to enjoy what we're doing at the time. And I think, this whole idea of your presence, that you are not letting all these things stress you out, that you're just sort of walking through it, solving problems, making it happen, really contributes to
I mean,
this whole thing.
you say all the time. You say it to me often when because it's not like I'm this perfectly unstressed person all the time since that day. No, of course I get back into that cycle. I go back down that hole sometimes, and I have to be pulled out of it. And that's what meeting 3 times a year does to you. It forces you, because your peers are calling you out, to pull yourself out of it. And Bob reminds me, it's just business. This is just your
Right.
business. It's not everything. It's not your life. It's just your business. And it's just this is just a problem we're going to solve.
Yeah.
It's
And
and that, as simple as it seems, when no one's telling you that.
when no one's telling you that, one of the things that we all know and that people who are watching this might relate to is this whole idea you can't work yourself out of the weeds. Everybody thinks that they can work themselves out of the weeds, but to mix the metaphors, it's kind of like quicksand. The more you struggle, the faster you sink. And so
So true.
one of the things that I love about the mastermind, for us too, I mean, we love leading it. Susan and I love leading it, is this idea of an anchor. In that 3 times a year, you have an anchor. You come back to
Yeah.
you come back to your best self as a business person. You come
Yeah.
back to people who love you and support you, and you get a chance to love and support. You come back to to a place where people understand you. Because to your
Yeah.
point, I mean, it's Susan coined a term that I love. It's called business lonely. You know,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
business lonely.
I was just going to say that. I mean, a big part of it, one of the joys of it, when you put the other, the return on your investment, all that aside, one of the joys of it is, you know, being an entrepreneur is business lonely. Like, no one really understands what you do. Your friends don't get it. If you don't work with your family or your spouse, they don't get it. No one can really understand what the life of an entrepreneur is like, except I get to walk into a room 3 times a year with like 20 people who do
Right.
understand it. And they understand when I want to brag about a success and they don't judge me for that. And they understand when I want to cry about a huge failure and they hand me a tissue. Like, they are kind, supportive people who really understand what I do. So when I bring a problem to them, sometimes when you bring a business problem to like your friend who isn't an entrepreneur, you're like, they don't get it. But
No, they
these
don't get
people,
it.
I'm like, they get it. I'm like a sponge to their insights because they're the experts. They've lived it. They've made the mistakes too. And I also want to say, like, while I feel hugely successful in my business, we are riding a huge wave of success right now. This is the most profitable I've ever been. The mastermind has been with me through tough times too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have gotten me through that and never judged me and helped me get out of some really bad decisions I've made. And, that it's there for you for those times too, not just for the good times.
Yeah. Wonderful. That is so great because, and so for me and for Susan, every time it seems as if every meeting gets better and better and better. And the group just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, which of course just fills us with gratitude. But, one of the things that, especially after our last meeting in Nashville, we commented that, in the early days of the mastermind, as you can attest, because you've been with the group, you had that space in the middle for a long time. There were so many tears and there was so much stress and there was so much anxiety because everybody was, now the group, everybody sort of, there's this whole, it's just business. We're all here to support each other. This is no social crisis. It's just another tricky day.
Yep.
I mean, we just sort of all are just sort of matter of fact. And, Bess Staley went to Africa for a month and Ryan went to Italy for 3 weeks and, fell in love with his wife again. And all of these stories that come from your ability to step away from your business or to have that sort of matter of fact, positive perspective on your business, because your business should bring you joy, not stress you out. Does that sound right? Does that feel right, that statement?
100%. I mean, if it's not bringing us joy, why are we doing this? We should go get a desk job.
Yeah.
But there are moments, like everybody knows, like, and sometimes those moments you just have to remind yourself, like, okay, this too shall pass, and that's what the group, helps remind you. Sometimes when you feel like it's never going to get better, they know that it always.
That's right. That's why I post that song from, I'll bet that song by Pete Townsend, Another Tricky Day. I'll bet I posted that on our Facebook group page a dozen times. This is no social crisis. It's just another tricky day for you. So,
That's right.
we get to do this. We don't have to do this. I mean, Maureen, you're doing big things. You're doing big things. And when you do big things, you're going to run into bumps in the road. So, Maureen, thank you so much. I so appreciate your transparency and your being willing to share with everyone here. And, so even if somebody watches this, even if they choose not to join the Platinum Mastermind group, I know that if they were paying attention, they got some real value from your insights. So
givers get, right? Givers get.
That's right. Givers get the rule of reciprocity, baby. Thank you, Maureen.
Bye, Bob. Thank you.
So there you are. I assume that you took something away from the interview with Maureen that you can use in your business. So if you did, I hope that you apply it. But really what I hope for some of you is that watching that interview with Maureen, got you thinking about what it would be like to have that sort of get out of your business, work on your business, step away and think about your business in a different way. And you can see what it'll do for you, your future, and your business. So I would encourage you to click down below, take a look at the two programs, figure out which one would be the best fit for you, and again, assuming you want to take your business to another level, apply today.